Hey guys, I'm Jody.
I'm JT,
And we are the Bowtie Baptist
coming to you live
ish.
from the same place we've been the last two episodes.
And by live, we mean we recorded this 3 weeks ago.
And
3 weeks ago.
let's just say most people are asleep right now.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's going to work out well for us.
Yeah.
Just with our schedules and ministries and kids and, just when else studying. When else do you when do you have time to get out content?
Yeah. So before we dive into this episode, we're going to go ahead and let you know that if you did not watch last week's episode, which would be episode 4. Yeah, episode 4. You need to go back and watch that unless you're already familiar with what Royal Ambassadors is. If you already know what RAs is, you're good. Just keep listening. But again, feel free to go back and listen just to help the.
It's good education.
Yeah.
Help
yourself.
You'll learn something.
Yeah. Help our numbers. Help the algorithm. Help the algorithm find other people to find us. But this week, we're not going to go in depth about what the different elements of RAs are. We're going to be discussing how we are applying those elements in either the way they're intended to be, or our own thing.
And you come in usually with a script, and you organized and ready to go. And the theme of this is we're attacking it with enthusiasm because that's what we have. And we're just both of us again going back. Going back to where you asked me to take part in RAs, and that call it 4-5 months, whatever it is, to us splitting it to two classes, and it's you and I talking every week on our goals and dreams to what the RA program could be at Bellview.
Yeah,
we got some ideas.
Yeah,
and we're excited about it.
Yeah, right, wrong, or otherwise, but
the boys will learn.
Yeah. So go ahead and take a second. If you haven't already, make sure you're following us, you're subscribed, you got notifications turned on. Share the show with somebody. Leave us some positive ratings and reviews. That way, all that factors into algorithms, or so I've been told. That way, other than our friends and you folks who go to church with us that are just looking for some good dirt on us by watching this, folks that might find our content to be beneficial to them, it'd be easier for them to find us. But
engage with us, come talk to us.
Yeah, let us know any
topics, what you want to hear.
Yeah, because our goal now is weekly. At first it was monthly, then it was every other week, but we're just gonna go ahead and do it every week.
Well, and that came from questions. People asking us, when y'all getting together again? When someone was making fun of me, when are we gonna have trouble hearing you again?
When you gonna blow my eardrums out again? Exactly. So, which we're still working on getting that tweaked. We'll get it figured out eventually.
Maybe.
We will. It just might be a few years, but we'll get there. On that note, what we decided we were going to do a couple episodes ago is we're going to open up with one thing that we have learned or made it a point to dive deeper into from our daily Bible in a Year readings.
Yeah, and this seems very basic, and I'm assuming a lot of people already know this, but I didn't know it didn't rain before the flood. Or I guess that never occurred to me, or I have never even thought about it.
Yeah.
The ground watered itself, right?
Yeah.
From underneath.
Essentially, yeah. And that's you'd be surprised how many people don't realize that until they're older. I was older when I realized it, because it's not really something that's taught.
Well, you don't
in children's group, and that's one of those stories that everybody knows from their childhood that grew up in church.
Mm-hmm.
But the elements of it that are taught to children don't go that deep.
Yeah.
And then when you're older, unless you just make it a point to study it yourself,
Yeah.
or you take theological courses,
or just taking the extra, fine tune, what our challenge is. To find something that you didn't know and do a little background study on it. I mean, I just breezed through those sections. It's like your window. Your last episode. Like I never even thought about a window on the ark at all.
So mine is from Genesis 40:20, and this is about Joseph. And if you listen to the episode from 2 weeks ago, you know that everything we're given is from within 17 days, the first 17 days, because we're recording these 3 episodes on the same night on the 17th. But Genesis 40:20 is something that I hadn't noticed before. The interpretations of the butler's and baker's dreams were fulfilled on Pharaoh's birthday.
Both of them?
Yeah, because they're both fulfilled on the same day.
Yeah.
And it just so happened to be on his birthday. I'd never noticed that before.
Yeah.
Never paid attention to it. I had a second one on that day. I'll go ahead and mention it too. I guess it's short. Genesis 35:28 through 29. Isaac was still alive when Joseph was sold into slavery.
Yeah.
So
because they reunite. Because isn't Jacob present, or isn't Isaac able to see Jacob? No, Joseph. I'm sorry,
no.
Jacob.
No, because he was buried. It goes into you're thinking about.
I'm thinking about
you're thinking
Jacob
of Jacob,
Isaac.
not Isaac. Yeah.
This is why we read the Bible over there.
Yeah. That's our facts that we pick up, or things that we studied more that we might have already noticed.
Please,
let us know what you're learning.
Yeah. Please engage with us. Teach us what you didn't notice. Maybe we didn't notice it either. So getting into RAs. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah.
And just because one, it's call it fulfilling, exciting, or whatever you want to call it. It's enjoyable to challenge the boys to read their Bibles and come back and have memory verses and the next week, and we just sit and talk about it for a second.
Yeah.
So tell me some backstory on that. Like, do you know why Paul wrote that? Did you know he was in jail when he was writing that? We just go back and forth on it. And I'm blown away by the knowledge of the Bible these boys have.
Yeah.
Far beyond where I was at their age.
Yeah.
It's so inspiring. And I mean, they're gonna grow up and be church leaders, and we're educating church leaders here.
Yeah.
That's what's exciting.
And we're fortunate at our church also that we've got a lot of good programs going right now for those ages on Sunday nights, Sunday mornings, and then sometimes special events. But and in Sunday school also far. But there's a lot of adults that put a lot of effort into it as well. That's the reason they're where they are, because you have seen other churches, kids that go to church just as often as the kids at our church that don't know that creation happened over the course of 7 days, and that's older children and adults even that go to church, but not knocking on them necessarily, but it's
a testament to the leaders we have. The commitment.
And we can always use more.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's one of those things that was, and we'll go ahead and get into that, mention that. That's one of the things with us when you came in and started helping with the RAs. My biggest goal was to split the Crusaders from the lads.
Yeah.
Because you can make 1st through 6th grade work together in one class, but it's very challenging to
It's hard to keep
simplify it enough for the 1st graders to get without oversimplifying it for the 6th graders where they're bored with it.
Well, it's hard to keep them engaged.
Yeah. And then on the other end of the spectrum, if it's too complicated enough to keep the interest of the 6th graders, you're way over the head of the 1st graders.
Yeah.
Some of
well, that was my
can't even read yet.
Well, that was your critique of me when I started teaching. Like, like we're over 1st graders' head here, and I've never taught children. That was a completely new learning experience. And anybody out there who's just timid or intimidated about teaching children, I mean, biggest thing, man, just show up.
Yeah.
Show up, spend time. I mean, they want to spend time with you, and show them you care, and they'll listen.
Yeah, and
they'll respect you.
Yeah, and it's funny. The kids, if you're not there, they're going to ask about you. They're going to ask other adults where you are. Yeah. They
well, your sons, man, it was so fun. They tried to get me to pull that stick of gum as soon as I came in. Little buzzers.
They asked me if they could do that to you.
I said, yeah. But that's when I come in, AJ, your boys, Avery, somebody, Jonathan, they, my wife Rachel thinks it's adorable. Hey, across the parking lot, that means a lot to me.
Yeah, and so this year we're able to split them up by age. I've got the 1st through 3rd grade. You've got the 4th through 6th, which are lads, mine, Crusaders, yours.
Mm-hmm.
And then Andy has started trying to reinstitute challenges, because we went there for a long time where we didn't even offer challenges at church. You just went straight up youth group. But I think that a lot of the boys now that are in there would enjoy the challengers. And it's one of those things you don't really want to put them on the spot of having to choose between the two.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good to have options. Sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
But
I like the direction.
Yeah.
I like where Andy's trying to take it.
Yeah.
I like what we're trying to establish, and just going from there. I mean, what's your first goal? I guess if you would like to see or like to implement, or
I'll backtrack a little bit to what I've seen being an issue with RA programs in the past.
Okay.
And that's that RAs is not a playtime. It's not an hour of football, an hour of dodgeball, an hour of free for all.
Can I stop you real quick? Have you noticed my boys do not ask, can we go play outside anymore?
You got the older ones.
Yeah.
Mine do.
Well,
Mine still ask.
But it amazed me just how that changed.
Yeah.
They're not rushing. Let's go play some game.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where the whole point of RAs is to teach these boys about missions. And you can still play games, which I've talked to several people over the last couple of weeks and trying to figure out about the RA field day, us putting it on again, hosting it for the association and for inviting the whole state, whoever wants to come that's close enough in South Carolina to come and participate. But they have found it challenging at times to get the boys. It's like it goes through different periods where sometimes the material is not very good, and you've got to come up with your own stuff that's somehow or other relatable to what you're supposed to be teaching them.
Yeah.
And it can be really difficult. Sometimes you don't have time to prepare like you should.
Yeah.
And if you just take 1 week where it's a free week for the kids to go play, it's going to take several weeks to get them to stop asking, are we going to get to go outside? We get to go outside?
Well, and I don't know if you created this idea, but I think it was when we had the revival, and it was the battle for your mind, and it was on scripture.
Mm-hmm.
You know how to use scripture, and it just, I mean, I have to be instilling this in these boys.
Yeah.
You know, Bible drills.
Yeah.
And you know, that was, I guess, our first, my first, I guess, strategy to counteract. And you know, this was gotta play kickball for no reason. You know, like, well, no, we can compete. Boys, you're just not going to get that out of them. They want to compete. They want to, you know, engage somehow. So, well, let's.
Yeah, and at that point in time, it was also 1st through 6th grade, and you've got your little kids getting hurt by the big kids unintentionally. Really. So it's a matter of finding something competitive where you got the least possibility of somebody getting hurt. Now, they're still going to get hurt, but doing some stuff. But it's a matter of teaching them what they're supposed to be taught. Now, when I first went in and started doing the lessons, I ain't gonna lie to you, I did not like them. I was not a fan of the material that we had at that point in time. And it really seems like some quarters it's good. Yeah. Some quarters is
Well, it's hard to engage them too, because you're just reading it. And those boys are just not going to remember fine details, and they're going to, you know, goes off here, play here. It's hard to keep them engaged that way.
And if you get the leader guide and go through which that was an issue, is I didn't have the leader guide.
No.
And that material is really confusing to go through if all you have is the kids' book. The leader guide tells you what page you need to be on, stuff like that. But there's additional stuff in the leader guide. And one of the things that we started doing is we started trying to find a game that, like, if it was a IMB missionary that we're talking about, which is, for those not familiar, that's International Mission Board. So anything out of North America, anything outside of the U.S. or Canada. I know Mexico is part of North America, but it doesn't fall under NAM.
Really?
I'm pretty sure it's one of the two. I'm pretty sure it's Mexico that does not fall under NAM. I'm gonna have to confirm that, but I saw that somewhere. But when it was another country, we'd look up a popular game or sport that they had.
Yeah.
And that would be the activity we do with the boys to reinforce that there are children there also that need Jesus just as much as they do. And they've got their own games.
Yeah.
And one time they still want to play this game where it's the dodgeball with the plastic bag that they wrap up and taped up.
Yeah, I got hit hard by that darn thing.
Yeah, we had to loosen up.
Some of these boys are cold-blooded, man.
Yeah, but it's all in how you apply it. But I guess backing up where I was going with that was the first grouping of teaching that I was doing. It was at the end of this. It was in the summer, so the book was pretty much already over with anyway, or it was in the middle. So we just came up with our own stuff, and we just had Bible stories related to fishing for a couple of weeks. Yeah. And then we had Chris Wells come in and talk to the kids, and then had a camp out the last night in the classroom. Just had like a fake fire. Had a fan with some red streamers and stuff on it, light underneath. Brought a cast iron skillet. No, it was just during the class. And we put, I put a skillet, and we talked about Jesus cooking the fish on the side of the sea after he'd been resurrected. And the kids ate fish out of the frying pan, Swedish fish.
No, cool.
The candy. So, and they had awards, goes back to the learning memory verses and rewarding them for it. They were given certain memory verses to learn, a list, and if they learned so many off of that list over that several week span, their name got put in the hat to win some fishing gear and a rod and reel. And that was kind of fun for them. But I guess just diving right into what we're doing, what I'm
splitting class.
Yeah, splitting the classes.
Has been
Yeah.
Very beneficial. And I'll just throw this out. I've had great success with starting my classes with 10-minute workout, going through the RA workout regimen. That's the per grade.
Yeah.
And, it gets some energy out of them. We do our workouts. Me and Sean do them as well. We struggle through them. It might be the only time of the week I burn a calorie.
Yeah.
But no, and we do it with them. They enjoy it, get some energy out of them. Then we go, bathroom, get water, and then they come back and they know, this is it. And then, by that time you're talking, what, 6:40, quarter till 7.
Yeah.
So we're like, we got to buckle down here. I'm very rarely, and you go after. I see parents come up, and I'm like, okay.
They probably don't like me because I go till 7:30.
You go till 7:30, but we struggle getting through our lesson now. I mean, really. And I would encourage, I don't know how it worked with the younger groups, but the older boys, they enjoy it. I've been, I started doing, if they fall through on a memory verse, they owe me push-ups, and now they spun it on me to where now I'm gonna be sharing memory verses with them that I learned. They tell me the book. It's like, this week you got to learn from Ruth. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so if I can't come up with one, I owe them 30 push-ups. And I'm like, all right, well, if y'all come back here and 3 of you boys don't know a memory verse, I set myself up for failure.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
Yeah. But if 3 of you don't, but it gives them a little extra incentive, Sometimes it's only 2 that come in. And they enjoy that. They enjoy punishing me, I guess. And I'll do push-ups for you to learn a memory verse,
Yeah. And I've got one thing that I'm looking for it now. There's the thing that I showed you the other day, but so with the lads, with the younger group, one of the things that I'm trying to do this year is encourage them to learn the monthly Bible verse. So with this material, each month has a separate memory verse, but there's also a yearly memory verse, an annual memory verse, which I'll pop it up here in just a second. But there is a annual memory verse and a monthly verse. This month's verse is Exodus 2:10.
Okay.
Now, I'll be honest with you. I don't know what translation it is because it doesn't say. But I actually had one of the parents ask me this Wednesday night what translation it was. I'll be honest with you. I really don't know because I've tried to find it, but I don't know. Probably CSB or NIV. Because CSB is what most SBC stuff uses. Which, again, I know we're throwing around a lot of terms that some listeners might not know, but SBC, Southern Baptist Convention, CSB is the Christian Standard Bible.
One thing while you're talking about that, we actually got on discussion of different translations this past week. We have a different translation for each kid, and we were talking about that. We had a good fun with it, but I have to use the app. If I don't, I have to switch different translations.
But one thing that I'm trying to do is require them for their award at the end of the year, which we'll talk a little bit more about that later, how we're doing awards differently. But one of the things that I'm doing is there's a checklist for them to do this year with to get their award at the end of the year. And one of those things is they have to memorize a minimum of 3 of the monthly verses. They also have to learn the annual verse. So that's only 4 verses. That's really not that much. We've got one of our boys that he'll come in, he'll do a chapter at a time. And it's word for word. Now, he goes to a Christian school, and some of it is he has to learn it for school. But it's regardless of that, it is still
impressive.
Very impressive.
I'm impressed with
for a kid that young to be able to do that.
Yeah, well, we had a kid younger than him recite every book of the Bible last year.
Yeah. And
took it upon himself to do that.
Yeah. And now my kids are homeschooled. Savannah's homeschooling. She's doing a really good job with it. And she incorporates, I don't know if my boys are not telling you the verses that they're learning at home, let me know so I can address that. But they're learning verses at home, and she's actually working on the books of the Bible with them.
Yeah.
And it's
your boys love John. I think it's Jackson's favorite book, and every one's from John. And that was his challenge this week. Give me one that's not in John.
But yes, and I don't know where that's coming from.
That's what he told me. That's my favorite book. I'm like, really? Why is that? You know, we talked about it. We had a good conversation about it.
So we've got that, and what I'm doing is we have the digital RA package. This is from WMU. Now, they have a lot of graphics included already in that digital package. So you've got the normal RA logo. They've got, let's see, what else is there? There's the memory verse, there's the pledge, there's the RA logo, and then just general random clip arts associated with the theme this year, which is Loved So Much. And let's see, let me get this saved and then I can pull it up. But there. And one of the things that I'm going to do is to make it a little bit more fun for them, hopefully, is we're going to have a map, and it's going to have waypoints with tickets. And all this is from WMU. I apologize, National WMU, if I'm not supposed to be modifying this stuff like I am with my graphic design software. But I promise it's for the kids. But I'm changing it around a little bit to make it more fun for the kids, I hope. And where did I save this? Oh, I did it.
Essentially,
I did it under this.
Step.
And now they don't have to follow it. Mm-hmm. They just have to accomplish each.
Yeah.
That's the main thing with it. And I think this is the right presentation, if it'll load. But there's seven tasks on it. Now, in this image, when it does come up, 2 of them are blank.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't finished the map yet, but I told them that they do the first 3, they get a prize. They do 5, they get a t-shirt. And they do 7, they earn their pin award at the end of the year, which we'll go into that in just a few minutes. But they don't get their pin if they don't do all 7.
No.
So they have to do all 7. And it's not hard. The stuff's not hard. It's very simple.
Yeah. Well, that's when you gave me yours the other night. I was like, I can't use this. These boys.
Yeah, I'm on. And yeah, because it's age appropriate. Now, what I'll do is, since this is the first year we've been split into the age groups, next year I'll have a different list based on what grade you're in.
Yeah, I've been
and it'll build upon itself.
I haven't decided exactly, but I was going to kind of personalize mine because like you said, your boys have to learn Bible verses at school.
Yeah.
AJ the same way.
Yeah.
It's just
but you've got kids in public schools that aren't required.
Yeah. And so, I was going to tweak mine a little bit.
Yeah. So for the folks watching, this is what I'm using for my boys. Each boy will have their own. And this is just all designs that they gave included in that digital package this year for 24-25. That I just opened up in my 20-year-old graphic design software and edited. But you've got, as of now, the 5 that I've got on here is RA motto, RA pledge, name the 5 virtues that are appropriate to the lads.
Mm-hmm.
I've got 4 on here. I meant to put 3, but 3 of the monthly verses, and then the 2 other tasks that I haven't listed yet. But one will be meet the age appropriate physical fitness requirements,
Mm-hmm.
and then the last one, I don't even remember what I had on it. But again, for 1st through 3rd grade, these things are all very simple. And just as a reference, this is the theme verse for the year. It's 1 Thessalonians 2:8. We cared for you. We loved you so much. So we were happy to share with you God's good news. We were also happy to share our lives with you. And this graphic, I didn't make it. It was already made. It was included. So this I printed out, laminated, sent it home with all the kids this week. They also have the motto and the pledge in a graphic design that relates to this theme.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna print, laminate those, and send those home next week, which by the time this episode releases would have been 2 weeks ago. But
something just kind of dawned on me. Why don't we? You want to go through like the schedule of our class, because we're pretty scheduled.
It is, yeah,
for the most part, but then it's always different. So
yeah, you go ahead and take that.
Yeah. So we just grew into this. This is not a goal, at least.
Yeah.
This is when we started, but like I said, first we give them a sweat, get some energy out of them, so sit down and learn, and we go through our memory verses. And I took this from you. If you have a memory verse, you can hold a flag during the pledges. They love that, and if they don't, if only one person has a memory verse, and Sean holds the flag, and that just eats them up. They can't stand it. But once we get through our pledges, then we go into prayer requests. No, actually, I slightly changed that. We first go through praise reports.
Okay.
Prayers answered. Any prayer requests from last week. Let's talk about it. And I always have prayer requests, and I get myself and Sean. We get involved. Boys, please pray for us this week. We pray for each other. And if you want someone to pray for you this week, raise your hand. Yeah. Okay, find somebody with their hand raised. That's your special buddy this week. That's who you're going to pray for. You don't have. God knows the reason. God knows the request, right? And
let me stop you a second. You want to elaborate on why we started doing that?
Well,
or you want me to?
You can, but I mean, it would just. I mean, I would just find out so much about and they would just go on, and we just, if you allow more so your group than mine, probably
it is. It's really more for the younger ones. But what I immediately realized the first time I took prayer requests with these kids was, if you don't ask for prayer requests, is there what do you guys want us to pray for? You will find out everything that and every detail that they're not supposed to tell you, that their parents have sworn them to secrecy about. So, that's how we found out. One of the boys was going to be a big brother.
Oh,
yeah. So,
that's hilarious.
What I started doing was I said, all right, this is what we're going to do. If you have a prayer request, you say the name of the person who you want us to pray for, or the subject, I guess you could say. And I was 1 year old, you can't say, or 1st grade, you can't say subject there. I don't know what you're talking about, but say the who or the what without the detail. They'll still try to slip the details in there.
They will, man.
And it will eat your entire hour of time if you let them do it. But
occasionally I'll let them get away with it.
I do too.
Because one, they just definitely won't tell you. And two, I can get away with it better than you because your class is twice the size of mine. You know, so I mean, 3 kids elaborate, not a big deal. When we were together, it was 10. That's a problem. Yeah. But and they'll elaborate, and then and then I'll ask. So, what's your teacher's name? Yeah. I want to run. I want them to see. I'm going to pray for you, man. I take this seriously.
Yeah.
And they I don't know if it's they model the leader in that case. This is serious. Like, this isn't cut up in playtime. This is, I mean, we're getting serious. This is war room, you know.
Yeah.
And so we'll go through prayer requests, praise report, then prayer requests, and then I always ask, would anyone like to lead us in prayer? And they'll jump in. Now sometimes like it's the same person, same kid, and you know, I never stop that. But I was never put in a position to pray in a group setting when I was that age. I think that there's power in that.
Yeah.
And these boys becoming leaders in that case, praying in public. I think there's a lot of value in that. And you know, you're not gonna. I mean, conversation between you and the Lord, man.
Yeah.
Like, there's no structure to it. Pray what's on your heart, and they pray. And I was so moved the other day because one of my kids just had never done it, and I tell him, you know, I was like, so why don't you lead us in prayer? I just went on a limb. I was like, I don't know how this is gonna go, and he didn't react. He didn't even acknowledge he was going to do it. So okay, well, that didn't go well. But went through a routine. I said, well, if you feel led, you know, feel free to jump in after me. Yeah. I typically always close. He jumped right on in, man.
Yeah.
And I was so proud of that.
Yeah, you know? And it's great. We both encourage these boys to pray because there's so many men now who will refuse to pray. If you ask them to, nope, not doing it.
Yep.
And
I think that started because we saw that in brother. We just saw that.
Yeah.
In settings.
And I'll just give an example. This was an adult. This was an an elderly guy, and the church I went to in college, I got to lead the Bible study on occasion on Wednesday nights at church and prayer meeting. And we were closing out. I called on this guy to close us out in prayer. Didn't skip a beat, prayed afterwards. Because I was really, really close to the pastor and his wife. They lived literally across the street from the house that I was living in while I was in school. And I'd go over there, and they reminded me a lot of my parents. And but we'd go over, have biblical theological discussions and stuff. But he asked me, how did you get him to pray? Like, did you talk to him beforehand, let him know? And I said, no, I just didn't remember him having done it recently. So I called on him. He was a deacon. And the pastor said, that's because he's never prayed in church. He has always told me he would not do it if he was called on. Wow. And he did it because he was called on.
What an impact that probably had on him. Yeah. Conquering that. Maybe it was a hurdle. It was a fear. But I think there's power in that.
Yeah. And what I'm saying, I guess what I'm trying to say more than anything is by getting these boys to do it now is they won't get to that position where they're not comfortable doing it.
It only gets harder.
Yeah.
You know?
And if you're not comfortable doing it, I get that. Some people have legitimate fears of speaking in public.
I'll tell you how I conquered that, because I used to be the exact same way. And I just, be okay with, I promise you no one's as critical of you more than you. Yeah. Right? But, I mean, take the plunge, take the opportunity. Like it was, with anybody close in prayer, Sunday school, I would always volunteer. Just not, I wanted to get comfortable in that setting. Yeah. I've always, at any given time someone's called on me to pray, I wanted to be able to reach the Lord for you. Yeah. And I want these boys to have the same, hunger. And
then sometimes, I know some people might not agree with it, but there have been occasions where I've told them that they have to pray. Yeah. We go around the room and everybody prays. It doesn't have to be much. Yeah. I mean, it can be one sentence. It can be, God, thank you for today. Amen. Yeah. But very rarely is it ever that simple. Even the ones that aren't really comfortable with it. No. they get comfortable, and then they don't mind doing it and volunteer the next go around.
Right.
But
that's something. I mean, that's yeah. I mean, just I think it naturally gets easier the more they're not expected, but I mean, well, they expect. Okay, we will have prayer time today.
Yeah.
No matter what happens,
Right.
that will happen. And I think just naturally, you making an emphasis on it. We can miss playing, workout. We're not missing prayer requests. And I think that naturally gets them a little more comfortable.
Yeah.